Welcome back to Mac Music Review. Today we're going to be doing something a little different. We're going to be looking at a movie soundtrack. Before I hop into the review, just want to say there's going to be some stuff down in the description if you want to know how the channel works. All that good stuff is going to be down in the description. Today I will be reviewing the soundtrack to the first Hobbit movie, The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey. This original motion picture soundtrack was created by Howard Shore. Howard Shore, kind of a legendary film score, motion picture film composer. The only thing that kind of limits his legendary status is that he hasn't done a whole lot. He's really stuck to the Hobbit and Lord of the Rings movies and has created some of the most iconic music ever. Some of the most legendary film scores, most classic pieces of music and film score music ever. With the Lord of the Rings movies, legendary movies, some of the best movies ever made, ever, and the music definitely contributes to that. It is amazing. And then he returned to do the music for the Hobbit movies, and it sounds a lot like the music on the Lord of the Rings soundtracks. You know, you got all that classical instrumentation. It has all this fantasy vibe. It creates this atmosphere of Middle Earth and Bag End, and just really fits into that theme. Sometimes the music is kind of intense depending on what's going on in the movie. Sometimes it's really laid back and very relaxing and peaceful, like when you're in Bag End in the first few tracks. And yeah. This soundtrack is 2 discs. Each disc has 13 tracks on it. This is a ton of music. This is really long. And this is not the deluxe version. I'm pretty sure there's a deluxe version of the soundtrack, which has even more. Includes like a song they sang in the first Hobbit movie. But yeah, this soundtrack by Howard Shore, 13 tracks, 2 discs. It's long. This is a lot of music and some really long tracks. I really don't have a ton to say about this soundtrack other than the fact that it's phenomenal. It's amazing. I would say that the first Hobbit movie, this is unrelated to the score I'm going to give for this soundtrack, but the first Hobbit movie is actually very, very good. I think this movie worked very well. It was mostly faithful to the source material, unlike the other 2 movies, and it was good. It's well acted, extremely entertaining. I mean, first Hobbit movie is well made, really good. This soundtrack is just fantastic the whole way through. Just beautifully composed. The peaceful songs are amazing. I think that's the best on here, is the extremely iconic music that you hear in Bag End. Those first few tracks, My Dear Frodo. All that kind of stuff is just really fantastic and beautiful and amazing. And then the more intense stuff also works extremely well. I mean, just musically, this thing is just fantastic. It makes you feel like you are in Middle Earth. This music makes you feel like you are living in a fantasy world when you're listening to it. I mean, this is perfect music to listen to when you're doing like a D&D campaign, like playing Dungeons and Dragons with your friends, or if you're reading a fantasy novel. I mean, or you're reading one of the Lord of the Rings books or reading a Hobbit. You totally should listen to this music because it makes you feel like you are in the world. It is really amazing. That's all I have to say, really. Howard Shore created an amazing soundtrack. The Lord of the Rings soundtrack's fantastic. The first Hobbit soundtrack, really, really amazing. Just, it's hard to find flaws with this. If I did have to have a flaw, I would say some of the songs are really long, and some of them are kind of slow and can come across as a bit boring, but they're actually not. They're extremely well made. Just some of them are kind of slow, and some of them, I guess, can be forgotten and can bleed together. But really, it's high quality and just really magical and fantastic throughout. I'm going to give this album a 4.5 star rating out of 5. Thank you for watching. What do you think of the Hobbit movies? I think they're all really entertaining, honestly. The third one has some slow moments, some dark moments, and I don't remember much about the second one, but the first one is honestly a pretty great movie, from what I remember. And then the other 2 are far and they're just nearly as good, but they're still good, I think. I don't know. Tell me what you think in the comments.